up? It's your boy Finnegan back again. Gonna do things a little different this time here on Finnegan's Garage. Gonna give you an update from the road because I've been on the road a lot lately. It's been a whirlwind few weeks. Let's see, we've filmed a couple episodes of Roadkill. Took Blasphemi to Hot Rod Drag Week with my friends.
And I'm sure we'll make it. No problem.
They have a battle?
Karting so much.
Welcome to Drag Week.
I'm on my way to Kenwood Rod Shop right now in Peachtree City, Georgia, because my buddy Randy is connecting me with a Roadkill fan who, I don't know, the guy's a saint. He saw what went down on Drag Week and is offering up his Big-Block Chevy and transmission to my buddy David, who destroyed in spectacular fashion the small block Chevy in his Nova during Drag Week.
Camaro's having some difficulty. I see brake lights. Hopefully he can get that thing over to the side.
Driveline problemos there as David Newbern, 11:53.2 at 117 miles an hour. Oh, huge smoke down there at the top end of the racetrack for Newbern. You see a giant instantaneous cloud emitting itself from the base of the engine. I was, honest to God, about to say, well, at least the connecting rods are still in it. And then that happened. So
because Roadkill.
And Dave's one of the good people. You know, when that dude hurts something, people want to help him because he's just good people, you know. So yeah, let's start at the beginning. Drag Week is the second reason I built my 55 Chevy Bel Air. I covered the event for years when I was a staff editor at Hot Rod Magazine, and I was always jealous of the legends that got to participate in that event. So when I was able to, I took vacation last year and this year and entered, paid my $400 and destroyed my car while having a lot of fun. Last year didn't go well. You know, on day 2, the engine dropped a valve and destroyed itself, which isn't a total surprise because the cylinder heads on that Hemi were about 13 years old. And this year, I busted my ass on that car. Spent money I shouldn't have, hours that I didn't have, you know, all in the name of finishing Drag Week. You know, I'll be right up front with you guys. Finishing Drag Week, running a pass at every drag strip for 5 days, driving every inch of the route, hitting all the checkpoints. That was my goal. Goal number 2, make it to the hotel every night and have fun with other drag weekers. Did that, which was amazing. And goal number 3 was, can I make Blasphemi a truly fast, straight axle, stick shifted, you know, gasser? And we pulled it off on the last day.
I said 897. Oh my God.
Very first time in that car. Very first time in his life.
Week for me was a massive success, and it wasn't without its trials and tribulations. You know, I broke some small things during the week.
We can fix it. Put another clamp on the bottom.
I don't even know how to explain this. You know, we were doing really well. I made a pass at about 1 in the afternoon, and side by side with the class leader, Jared Scott, who's a super cool guy, and I ran an 897 at a $150, and I knew I left some ET on the table at the starting line. I was worried that the track was going to be hot and greasy, so I didn't give it a lot of RPM at the starting line, and I knew there was some ET sitting there. And based on how everything was shaking out, I was only 0.02 of a second out of first place. So I put the party pulley on the blower, which was a smaller pulley that would add a little more boost. Went up to the starting line, parked it at 5,000 RPM. Actually, I eyeballed it. I listened to it because the two-step in the car isn't turned on, and I just go up there and hammer the clutch and put the throttle where I think it needs to be, and that's how I drive the car right now. And at 5,000 RPM, that thing left like you would not believe. Picked up a whole 1/10 to 60 feet, picked up a 1/10 of a second to the 330. This thing was going to run an 870, man. I know people like to bench race what could have been, what should have been, but this was going to run an 870. And then when I went to shove it from second to third gear, something happened, and the transmission people tell me it's really not possible, but I think the trans went back from second gear into first gear, because the engine RPM went from 7 grand to 9 grand, the back tires locked up, and smoke out of the tailpipes once again, and she was broke. I got home and started taking things apart and found a broken valve spring retainer on cylinder number 2. Valve dropped into the piston, put a hole in it, and here we go again. Hemi is wounded. I yanked the engine out, took it back to John Kazi's. They're going to go through it right now because this time of year my life is out of control and I really can't work on anything like that. I'm getting ready for SEMA and 2 more Roadkill shoots, and so I trust those guys to rebuild the motor, and here we are. My plan for the back half of this year was finish drag week with that car in one piece, then start working on the C10 and the turbo boat, and then after SEMA, because the car's going there, I was going to race John Chase from Hoonigan's at the In and Out and Hot Rod Magazine's 75th anniversary event at the Fairplex in Pomona, like the 3rd week of November. That was the plan. And John was going to finish his car, and I was going to be there. And John Chase just calls me yesterday and surprised the hell out of me. We got 7 weeks between now and that event. I guess his motor's going on the dyno next week, and dude threw in the towel already. Like 7 weeks between now and that event, and that guy's like, yeah, I'm not gonna make it. You know, I gotta get a license, I gotta test the car, and I'm like, yeah, great, there's 7 weeks. Like, what? I don't get it here. And I get it. I mean, he's building a truly fast car. These things take time. You know, there's no shame in showing up and, you know, not doing as good as you could, but quitting 7 weeks before the event, there's a little bit of shame in that. I mean, that's not how I roll, but hey, he says next year. So yeah, Hoonigan's called me out early this year and have now postponed the thing till next year. So I don't know, man. Odds are good my car will be broken again by the time he gets his car running. As I mentioned earlier, my buddy Dave destroyed his small block Chevy, and the great thing about Dave and Craig and Brandon and everybody that was in that Nova during drag week was that those guys had the time of their lives. They never stopped smiling. How about a little drag week update? We've gone about 100 miles. The rain is over. We don't care. Rain ain't stopping us. You know it's stopping 5 Acre Dave and the attempted murder Nova? Dead alternator. What are we gonna do? We're gonna strap my generator to the trunk of this car, fire up the battery charger, and keep on trucking. We're going on the roof like pizza delivery?
Yes. Yep.
Dude, Honda needs to sponsor the attempted murder Nova. They never stopped smiling, even when that motor was dead on day 4. And we came together as a group, bought a used motor, slammed it into the car in the parking lot of the drag strip Thursday night, the day before drag week would end. none of us went to sleep, and that car made it to the finish line at drag week, turned in a time slip, and when all was said and done, Dave Newbern and his friends won the Spirit of Drag Week award, which is probably the coolest award at the whole thing. So yeah, collectively we had a hell of a week. Yeah, I got that on video.
Did you?
Yeah, that's going on the internet.
That's the thing about Mike. You don't never know when he's video.
Here,
Those valves got hot.
oh boy, did they ever.
Look at this one. This one's blue. Blue.
Hey, Dave, y'all told me 500 shot.
I said pull the jets out, just run the hose, man.
Daniel's smiling.
All right, the Earl Camino motor is out of the attempted murder Nova.
No, the murder.
And
Nova.
it's murdered now.
Nova.
And we're about to swap this thing outside the gate at Thunder Valley in the parking lot. Day 4 of drag week. It's a little late. Everyone else might have left already. We're still here, boys. What are we doing? What are we doing? Parking lot motor swap party. We've already had foot races.
I know, but I'm gonna pull you in. Oh, yeah. Pump you in. All right, you ready? Get in line. You stay there. All right, y'all ready? Touch the D! There we go! Oh, you get the free t-shirt! Oh, man! I shook the tires! Ready?
Fire the beast. Hell yeah, boys.
Got oil pressure? None? Yeah? Where's that oil coming from?
Yeah, boys, let's go finish drag week. Woo!
I've told the story many times throughout the week of this guy on the left-hand side, David Newbern with the 71 Nova. This thing had an engine and transmission and nitrous and ignition systems out of an old Roadkill show project car. The car called the Earl Camino. Unfortunately, he blew all of the pistons out of it on nitrous yesterday at Bristol. He got what he thought was a new 305 Chevy with a whole bunch of miles on it, and they swapped it last night. A whole bunch of guys just dogpiling that car so that Newbern could finish drag week. It turned out to be a 350, which would seem to be good, but he has advised me that this thing is leaking oil from every orifice, and he does not want to blow the nitrous through it or make a mess on the track or anything. So he is just going to be putting this down, but he has lived the dream and finished drag week. He has taken every single track. All he has to do is go through this green light, which he just did, and he has now completed Hot Rod Drag Week 2018. That is the full-on spirit of this event. Change an engine the night before simply to get here and make a run that is way off your 1150s pace from earlier in the week. Jared Ball in the opposite lane has been at the very, very top of our Street Machine Eliminator category. Obviously, that 1653 run, something's going on. That's not going to help him at all. As Newbern goes through with probably the most glorious 24-second time of his life, because it does mean wrapping up for once and for all Hot Rod Drag Week, which he worked so hard to get to.
On my way to Kenwood Rod Shop right now. There's the update on my life. We'll pick it up there once I meet our mystery Roadkill fan and pick up David Newbern's new motor and trans. So I'll see you. So I'm in Kenwood Rod Shop here in Peachtree City, Georgia, and I'm making new friends. And my new friend Hunter has this. That, I believe, is a 540 and a Tremec TKO 600 trans.
Yep.
And these items came out of your Camaro, which Randy just built. And it's amazing, by the way. This thing is bullet straight. I mean, bullet straight. It's one of the nicest paint jobs I've ever seen. And the interior is amazing. Custom switch panel. It's got an LT4 under the hood there, supercharged, you know, Corvette Z06 motor. It's awesome. But more importantly, Hunter has no use, believe it or not, for that 540 with, does it got air conditioning? It's got air conditioning. And that 6-speed trans. And he's going to give it to my friend David Newbern so that he can fix his Nova, which he destroyed at Drag Week. And it's a hell of a thing to do, and I'm stoked to be down here today to pick this thing up. And tell me about the motor.
So I'll tell you, we've got kind of a rough relationship, me and this motor, but it's a great motor. I've never had any issues with it other than just the overheating.
Okay.
I've tried to do a lot to fix it. Kind of a do-it-yourself guy that has very little experience. So
I know the feeling.
Yeah, we did all the wires here. We redid them just because we thought, you know, maybe it wasn't. We had a bad wire. This is actually a different carburetor we had on it. When we originally got it, it had like an old hot rod setup, so it had two the Edelbrock.
On a cross ram, I think.
Yeah, and a totally different manifold, and it was a kind of weird setup, but it ran great. I mean, it's got some aggressive cam in it. Because,
okay.
Man, when it idles, it's one of the nastiest sounding cars I've ever driven, which is why I loved it. But once again, for a guy who doesn't work on a car regularly and has never built cars, man, it just it needed to be constantly tuned. If it was 90 degrees out here in Georgia,
right.
It was overheating. I was telling Randy that the last thing I noticed about a month before I got it down here was one of the radiator fans was not working. So, I had the dual fan set up with a shroud, and one of them was not working. So that probably had some pretty significant issues too. That, maybe led to some.
So she's been toasty. How toasty do you think she got? What was the hottest it ever got?
I guarantee you, she never got more than I don't know. I mean, these run pretty hot, right? 200,
200's nothing.
No, I mean, because I would always cut her off, but the only issue I had was vapor lock, right? Where like it was fuel starved.
Man, there's good stuff here.
And the transmission's solid. I mean, once again, I didn't pull this out because it wasn't working. I pulled it out because I wanted an LT4.
Well, LT4, I totally understand. I understand why you would take it out. You know what's funny is David last night and I were talking about Drag Week next year, and he said he wanted to bang gears like a man. No more automatic. And I thought,
yeah, well, this is...
Boom! There you go, buddy. This is incredible. Man.
That's a solid. I mean, you'll have to let me know when you get it cranked up, because I'm telling you, it is one of the nastiest sounding. And of course, the exhaust is probably around here somewhere, but it had just thick exhaust.
Oh yeah. Oh no, you'll need to be there for the moment of glory when the attempted murder Nova comes to life again.
Let me know. I'll make time to get there.
Oh man, David is going to be so excited. This car is incredible. And what's more incredible is that there are humans out there that care enough to help other hot rodders. Hunter could have very easily sold that engine and trans for a bunch of money and done anything he wanted with it. And he's never even met my friend Dave. He gets it, man. He's aware of what Dave's gone through and what Dave would love to do next year at Drag Week. And he said, here, buddy, put this in your Nova. Go have fun. It's awesome. Truly awesome right here. Back home at my house, 2/3 of the attempted murder Nova crew are here because it's pretty much Christmas here in Finnegan's garage.
Yes, it is.
Because we're getting the motor out of my truck, and I think I called and told you what happened, and you came over the same day, which is remarkable.
Here I am.
So it's like 9 o'clock at night. We're jonesing to find out all we can about this, and this is a good opportunity for presenting tips and tricks for buying a used motor. We didn't exactly buy this, but we can at least tell you what to look for when you're, potentially purchasing a motor you don't know anything about. We've already done a little bit of detective work, and we were floored to realize that, we knew this is a Gen 4 style block, Big-Block Chevy, because there's the fuel pump boss. And unless you have a brand new Chevrolet Performance block, they don't have those. The latest iteration does, but the older Gen 5 and 6 ones don't have a provision for mechanical fuel pump. So after we just drooled over the pulleys and, you know, I think that's all March Performance stuff, we realized this is a Dart Big M block. Can you shine the light over here? And we can see it has Big M cast into the block. Right there, which is good. That means this thing can be bored pretty much to 4600 if you wanted to. It's allegedly a 540, which I think is 4.5 inch bore, 4 1/4 stroke, which is stout for a street car. And let's see, we have Dart Pro 1 heads. We've got some sort of stainless roller rocker, probably from Comp. And let's get some light up here and look down. Let me see if we can look into the lifter valley and see if we see anything here. It looks like it's a guide plate style lifter. Probably a roller lifter. Can't be sure, but probably. I can see one lobe of the cam. Oh, yeah, I can see the opposite pair of lifters. It has roller lifters in there. That's good. I don't see any rust in the lifter valley, which is good. We're in Georgia. It's a moist place. So you've got a roller motor with Dart Pro 1 aluminum heads, a Dart Big M block, a Dart single plane intake, an MSD distributor. I mean, dude.
Don't forget.
6-speed.
And air conditioning. Look at you. You're like, and air conditioning. The important part. The important part. So, yeah, new to us motor. Oh, dude, it's got a power steering pump on the front, too.
Loaded out.
Damn. Street rod stuff.
It's got we love alternators. We love alternators.
Love alternators.
Yeah.
At least one every 200
Get
miles.
the part number, we'll probably need 2 of those.
Yeah.
Rosso oil pan. Came with motor mounts. Came with headers that will fit in the Nova. I mean...
Even spark plugs.
Yeah. Fresh set of auto lights. I mean, dude, this thing's sick. And I'm reasonably sure it ran when it was pulled out of the car based on the shop owner's telling and Hunter's telling us that it did. Which means, I mean, dude, check the valve lash, throw this in your car, shifter, trans mount, exhaust, and you're back on the road and you have a full 12 months to practice.
Yes.
Before drag week.
This smile will never go away.
This is incredible. Man, Hunter is the man. There's a guy that gets it. So yeah, let's get out of the truck and we'll drill on it some more and then we'll get it to your house. First things first, look for any obvious clues to whether you have good parts or bad parts.
It says Kiesler modified Tremec transmission, quality certified.
Oh, that's a good sign. That means there's probably a halfway decent clutch and pressure plate and flywheel under that QuickTime bell housing. The QuickTime bell housing is a good sign because you will have to have that for drag racing. You'll need a good steel bell housing.
Here's a dumb question. Is that a 5 or a 6-speed?
Second. Third. Fourth. Fifth. Alright, let's pull spark plugs. And we'll keep them in order. And we'll find out what kind of running condition she was the last time she was fired up. First 3 spark plugs are out. These are cylinders 1, 3, 5, and 7. Number 5's got some oil on the threads. Looking at spark plugs is kind of a double-edged sword in a motor that's been run around on the street. It's hard to tell much, right? Because all the idling that you do, especially if the engine's running fat, just puts soot all over the spark plug. So you really can't tell the running condition of the motor like at wide open throttle. But what you can look for is obvious signs of damage. You know, is the ground strap smashed down, you know, from interference with the piston or the valve or foreign object going through it. Are there any, you know, bad signs of oil on the spark plug threads that would indicate, you know, you've got leakage past the rings or the valve stem seals? I don't see any of that here. What I do see is an engine that was idling very rich for an extended period of time. That one, number 5, does have oil on the threads, just a little bit. Not horrible, just a little bit there.
What part number is those plugs? Because these are 4 different plugs.
These are Autolite 3923.
Okay, these are just a different,
A
newer style maybe.
A fairly warm plug. Yeah, this Autolite, these are like iridium or platinum style.
So these plugs might have been thrown in there just to fill the holes.
Yeah, what Hunter told me was they had a lot of difficulty tuning the engine. He's not a carburetor guru, and they played a lot with carburetor and fuel pressure trying to get this thing to run properly.
It's these 4.
Okay, so those all look okay to me. Number 8's got a little bit of fuel or oil on it, but that's just a tuning issue. I don't think there's any physical damage in the motor, but we can take it a step further and we can put a Borescope on this thing and look down in the cylinder bores and look at the tops of the pistons. Let's do that. This is what's commonly referred to as a Borescope. What it really is a really tiny video camera on a flexible probe here with a light at the end. And this is not a high dollar one. It's not a Snap-on or a Matco or anything like that. I got this from Costco years ago. It was probably 200 bucks. What's cool about it, it's got a little screen right there. And although not as good as the high dollar ones, we can stick this inside the motor and look down in the bore and see if we see anything bad. There we go. There's the spark plug hole, and down we go. Into the motor. There are way better ones on the market, but I did once use this to find a razor blade inside of a cylinder of my drag boat engine that I dropped through the top of the tunnel ram, down a runner, past an open intake valve, and into the cylinder the night before I had to dyno test the motor. And miraculously, I found it using this. Okay. So there's the cylinder wall. You can actually see some of the cross hatches still there. Cross hatch is still in the bore, which tells me this engine doesn't have a lot of miles on it. Okay, there's the top of our piston. There's the edge of the piston. This piston has a slight dome to it. She's got some compression. See right there, there's the edge of it.
Mm-hmm. And there's the raised edge.
Yeah.
There's the shadow.
Yeah, yeah. See how this is rough looking right here?
Mm-hmm.
This is the backside of a valve, and this is the deposits that build up on the backside of the valve. So there's an open valve right there. We're not going to see much there without rotating the engine over. Let's go here. There's our crosshatch again.
That's a good view of it.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yep. God, this engine really doesn't have many miles on it at all. So there's the thrust side of the board. See the lines going up and down?
Mm-hmm.
You'll get that in every motor. And that's just the ring dragging up and down the thin film of oil going up and down the cylinder wall on the thrust side. Okay.
Oh, was that a hole in the piston?
Oh my God.
Oh, just the spark plug hole.
No.
Oops, David.
Wrong motor.
No,
All
normally
right.
you leave 8 and eat one in each piston.
What have we learned so far? We've learned we have a Dart Big M block. We have Dart Pro 1 heads. Stainless steel roller rockers. We've got a roller camshaft in here because you can look down the valley and you can see the lifter on the opposite bank's got a roller on it. Moroso oil pan. We've looked down each bore and we haven't seen a cracked piston. The pistons really aren't even dirty. In fact, the crosshatch is still in the cylinder wall, so it's a low mileage engine. The spark plugs tell us there's really no physical damage. You know, it hasn't swallowed any pieces of anything. This thing is in good shape. We put a proper carburetor or EFI on it, spend a day on the dyno tuning it, or put a wideband O2 sensor in his car with a gauge that we can read, and we can tune this thing. And I'd be real surprised if this engine didn't make every bit of 650 horsepower, pushing your car into the 10s easily without the nitrous this time. which is good because you killed the other motor with the nitrous.
I promise I won't put nitrous on it right away.
Right away. Nice. We could do a compression test and check the cranking compression of every cylinder, but it's really not necessary. We could do a leak down test, but if you look at the cylinder heads, they're brand new. Everything about this engine is new. I wouldn't even bother, man. Let's get it fired up in the car, go dyno tune it, and then
Do burnouts.
do burnouts. Yeah, I mean, it's... Well, hell, look, it's even got ARP head bolts in it. It's all good parts. Look at that. There's ARP head bolts holding this Dart Pro 1 onto this Dart Big End block. Whoever put this together used the good stuff. And as long as they assembled it correctly and all the clearances are right on the main bearings and the rod bearings, this thing's gonna live. It's gonna be badass.
Okay, so is there any way we can trace the block and see if this actually came like a crate motor or if somebody assembled this?
You may be able to call Dart and give them this number. 192-00030. And Dart may be able to tell you what that cylinder head is.
Yeah,
because
so-
these Pro 1... Ooh, hello. These Pro 1s come in different runner volumes, different chamber sizes, and here's another one back here.
325cc.
Oh, nice. So, 24-degree valve angle, which is basically what you would consider a conventional style big block Chevy head. 325cc runners. So it's not a giant head, which is good because in a street car, the last thing you want is a giant runner because it's going to be a lazy engine. This thing's going to run great in your car, especially with a stick behind it. That size head on a 540, if that's what this is, this will be a great running engine. The last thing I think we're going to check right now is we're going to pull the distributor and see how the gear is wearing. What we're looking for is a wear pattern right in the middle of the gear, which we have. We will not be swapping an engine in a parking lot next year after I just jinxed us.
Hopefully we will not be.
We might.
Yeah.
If we need to finish, we will.
It's going to be hard to find a better one, so let's not.
Oh, yeah. We can carry the spare one we have now.
That's not legal. It's different when you just randomly buy one from a manager of an O'Reilly's. You know, impromptu. It's, you know, you can't just carry one.